Yep, that's me, flat broke, totally lost, and surrounded by about 50 cows on some random dirt path in rural Mexico.
This is the economy road. Didn't have any cash left on me, so not taking the toll highway.
I had one bottle of water left, maybe $5 in my pocket, and the sinking feeling that my epic road trip had officially, spectacularly imploded. So how did I get here? It all started with a simple, really stupid decision to trust my phone over my own eyes. The plan, at least in my head, was brilliant. I was on the ultimate solo road trip I'd saved for months, and I was going to see it all. But, and this is a big but, I was on a super tight budget.
There was no instant teller at that OXXO, but if I had a Mexican bank, I could get cash out. Since I only have Canadian bank cards, I had to ask another customer if I could pay for his goods and he could give me the cash for it, and gratefully the first one I asked accepted. So I am clear to pass through the toll booth.
When I looked at the map, I saw two versions of Mexico. You had the cuotas, the fast, modern, expensive toll roads that just zip you between big cities. And then you had the libres, the free roads. The libres were sold as the authentic way to travel. They wind through little towns and villages, past incredible landscapes, and they don't cost a single peso. This, I thought, was the real adventure. This is how you see the true soul of a country. I'd save money and have a more genuine experience. A flawless plan. What could possibly go wrong?
Wow, I just got a really delicious breakfast for 8 pesos. I gave them 20 because I ate 2, I think they were called pomades with homemade tortillas. Oh, they were tasty, homemade. They were making a ton of them. I think they might have been a wholesale deal, but I went in, there was other locals eating, and that's the spots that I go to. And then I got some agua fresca, shaved ice right from an ice block right in front of me, and then added the liquid, which he said was natural, but by the looks of the color, it's not natural. Still, it tastes delicious. It's similar to a slushie in Canada. So there you go. Mexicans know how to do the slushies, and it's delicious. I'm just by the, or in the town called Centenario. So that last video, I said I was in Centenario, but that's up ahead. It was Pablo Garcia where I was. I would love to come back and spend more time in this area. There's lots of archaeology, ruins, plenty of hiking trails in Calakmul, and it's just a beautiful area. All locals. I haven't seen any tourists yet in this area. It's just me.
My goal for the day was to drive across the state of Veracruz. I had this whole movie playing in my head. Lush green hills, coffee plantations, maybe a quick stop in a colorful town like San Cristobal for lunch. I was full of that specific traveler's optimism, you know? The feeling that you're the main character in some grand adventure. I filled up the tank, grabbed some snacks, and confidently veered off the main highway onto my chosen Libra, waving goodbye to the modern world. The first hour, it was amazing. The road was paved, the views were stunning. I felt like a genius. I was beating the system.
So I'm about an hour and 3/4 away from my destination, Coatzacoalcos. And I'm not taking the toll highway. I was debating, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna see what everyone else is doing. There's a lot of traffic on this road, and it's clear. There are no potholes. It is a really nice highway. The Centro bus runs from Cardenas to Coatzacoalcos, and there's a lot of traffic. Now I'm just crossing the other one, the 180D, right now. There's not a whole lot of traffic on there. I don't know what the toll is for that one, but I'd say that one's not worth it. So now I'm driving on the economy road. Jose Luis told me this is the economy road. once I reached the toll booth, I realized that I am not supposed to be going that way. Plus, I didn't have any cash left on me, so I had to turn around and take this economy road. You know what? It's not really bad. There are no shoulders to pull off onto, but there's hardly any traffic. There are no semis to contend with. There's big potholes, but there were big potholes on that road before on Highway Mexico, on Mexico 186, and I'd say it's no different than driving on Mexico 186 before the toll road. There is one stretch of toll road that was not really in great shape, but the rest of them are really in good shape. So, is it worth the toll? On the way from Belize to and on the way from Puerto Vallarta to Belize, I paid about $500 Canadian in tolls. So is it worth it? You decide. Let me know in the comments.
Here's the thing about the Libres. They're unpredictable. After that first glorious hour, the pavement started to show its age. Cracks turned into potholes, and pretty soon whole chunks of the road were just gravel. The road signs, which were already playing hard to get, either became totally confusing or just vanished entirely. My GPS, my trusty digital co-pilot, was having a complete meltdown, recalculating every 30 seconds before just giving up and showing my little car icon floating in a sea of green. The app just couldn't keep up with reality. And the speed bumps, the topes, they were monsters. Some were so huge I had to crawl over them at a weird angle just to avoid scraping the bottom of my Jeep. I passed through these tiny, beautiful villages where life just moved at a different speed. Kids played soccer in the street, old men sat on benches in the shade, and stray dogs watched me pass with a lazy curiosity. It was charming for sure, but also really disorienting. Every village looked almost the same, and with zero signs, my confidence started to fade, replaced by a low-grade hum of anxiety. I was burning through gas way faster than I planned. The constant braking and accelerating on the rough terrain was brutal, but every time I thought about turning back to find the toll road, my stupid pride got in the way. No, I committed to this. This is the authentic experience, right? The struggle is part of the story.
If I could stop and find a cajero, I would get some money so I could stop at some of these little taco joints along the way. They look so cute, and I'm sure the food would be delicious along these back country roads.
I just kept telling myself that the next town would be bigger. It would have a gas station, an ATM, a cajero, and a sign pointing me back towards civilization. I was just getting deeper and deeper into rural Veracruz. The landscape was a stunning, rolling sea of green. But my ability to appreciate it was being drowned out by the growing feeling of being well and truly lost. And then I came to the critical fork in the road. One way was the gravel path I was on. The other looked more like a dirt track. My phone surprisingly had signal. I checked the map. Going back to the toll highway was a 3-hour trek. But the GPS was showing a beautiful, magical shortcut, a little line that cut straight through the countryside. Just 20 kilometers it promised, and I'd be through. It was a 50-50 shot. 3 hours of backtracking or a 20-kilometer vote of confidence in technology. I chose wrong.
It's so cute here. I love this place.
I followed the GPS onto the dirt track. Almost immediately, the road got worse. The path narrowed, and tree branches started scraping against my car. Then I came to a cattle gate. This should have been a big red flag, but I got out, opened it, drove through, and made sure to close it securely behind me, just as I'd found it.
This is where my GPS is leading me. I am avoiding toll roads.
A few hundred yards later, there was a second gate. I did the same thing, telling myself this was just part of the adventure.
So what would you do? I had the option of rerouting and going back, and I think it would be about 3 hours to get back to that toll highway where I needed to go around this, or I could just go through, and it's 20 kilometers.
And then I saw the first one. a big brown cow standing straight in my path. The path ahead was blocked, and the path behind me was a field of cows. My GPS had led me to a road that wasn't a road at all. This was it, the absolute low point. I put the Jeep in park, killed the engine, and the silence was absolute, broken only by the wind in a distant moo. A wave of pure frustration washed over me, aimed squarely at my own stupidity for trusting a glowing screen over common sense. I took stock of the situation. My phone, full signal, totally useless. The map was a lie, showing a road where there was only a field. I checked my wallet, hoping for a miracle. I'd spent most of my cash on gas and snacks, planning to find a cajero in the next city. All I had left was the equivalent of about $5 and a few random coins. Not enough for a tank of gas, even if I found one. Not enough for anything. I had one half-empty bottle of warm water. The sun was getting lower, casting long shadows across the fields. The air was getting chilly, and that's when the panic started to set in. I was alone, lost, and broke in a foreign country, in a place I definitely wasn't supposed to be. My Spanish was basic at best, good enough to order tacos, but not nearly good enough to explain this mess. All that pride and sense of adventure, gone. I just felt small and foolish and scared. I leaned my head against the steering wheel, surrounded by cows that were probably wondering what this idiot was doing in their dining room. Sitting there trying to fight off a full-blown meltdown, I had a lot of time to think. It's funny how a moment of total failure can give you an immense amount of clarity. If you've ever had a travel moment go completely sideways, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Share your biggest travel disaster down in the comments. It'll honestly make me feel a lot less alone. Hey, while you're down there, smash the like and consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out a lot. And now, back to the cows. After a few minutes of despair, I realized sitting there was pointless. I had to backtrack. I carefully turned the Jeep around and slowly made my way back through the herd, off the pasture, and onto the dirt track that led me there in the first place. I drove for what felt like an eternity until I finally rolled into a tiny, dusty town, just a handful of houses and a church. I parked and saw a couple, a man and woman, preparing to leave on a small motorcycle. This was my one shot. I got out of the car, trying my best to look both harmless and pathetic, which, frankly, was not hard at that point. I put my hands up in kind of surrender and said in my best broken Spanish, "Hola, perdón, estoy perdido." The man, who had a weathered face and a kind smile, looked at my Jeep, then at the road I came from, then back at me, and he started to chuckle. Not a mean laugh, but a warm, knowing one. His wife, sitting behind him, smiled too. I pulled up my phone to show them the GPS route that had betrayed me, then my nearly empty wallet to explain the other problem. I pointed vaguely in the direction that I thought the highway was. The man spoke in rapid, gentle Spanish. I only caught about every fifth word, but I got the message. I was very, very far from where I wanted to be, and the road on my phone no longer exists. What happened next is something I will never, ever, ever forget. The man didn't just point me in the right direction. He revved his motorcycle, and he patted the seat for his wife to get on. He gestured for me to get in my vehicle and follow them. They were going to lead me out. Slowly, carefully, I followed that little motorcycle. They led me down dirt roads I never would have found, through narrow paths carved between endless fields of agave, corn, and sugarcane that brushed against both sides of the Jeep. For 20 minutes, these two strangers on a motorbike were my personal saviors, guiding me through a maze I was hopelessly lost in. Eventually, through a break in the trees, I saw it, the fast, modern pavement of the Quota highway. They pulled over on the dirt path, right beside a ditch that ran along the highway. There was no on-ramp, no entrance. The man pointed at a spot where the ditch was shallow, then pointed at the highway. He was telling me to just drive through it. This was my entrance. I was just overwhelmed with gratitude. I pulled out the last of my money, those few dollars and coins, and tried to give it to them. It was a pathetic amount, but it was everything I had. The man just gently pushed my hand away, shaking his head with that same warm smile. His wife patted my arm. They didn't want a thing. They saw someone in trouble, and they helped. It was that simple. They said, "Con cuidado," be careful. And with a final wave, they turned their motorcycle around and disappeared back into the cornfields. I just stood there for a minute, completely stunned. I started the day, trying to save a little cash, and my arrogance and blind faith in technology got me completely lost. And in that moment of absolute vulnerability, I was rescued by two total strangers who led me through cornfields and showed me how to drive through a ditch to get onto the highway in Mexico. I didn't find the spirit of Mexico in a big city or on a perfect beach. I found it in the profound, selfless kindness of two people on a forgotten road in rural Veracruz. They taught me that the best travel experiences are never the ones you plan. They're the moments of unexpected human connection that restore your faith in people. And that lesson was way worth more than any toll I was trying to skip. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more adventures, and hopefully slightly fewer misadventures. Travel safely, always be open to the kindness of strangers, and happy trekking.